Happy Saturday. Shireen and JD from Moji Masala. Hope you're doing great. Hoping you're having a lovely start to your weekend. We are in the kitchen today making Chana Masala, aka chole. Now Chana Masala is in the bean, lentil, kind of dal category, and we do have a dal masala. But we're not going to use our dal masala to make this today because chole, or like a more traditional Chana Masala, actually has very complex layers of flavor going on. And it's very much the same layers of flavor that you see in our Aloo Rasedar masala. So we're going to actually use our Aloo Rasedar masala packet today to make a beautiful, vegan-friendly chickpea curry. And we're actually going to finish it off with some fresh baby spinach. Again, optional if you want to keep it pure. No need to put anything in it. Don't need to put the dairy in it at the end. You can substitute the dairy for the coconut milk. You get the idea. So I'm just going to give you the basics of how to do this. I saved you some time today so you don't have to like watch water boil, as they say, by already browning the onions. If you've been cooking with us, you know this is like the first step of just about every dish. Nice and brown, does not have to be perfectly even. You can see some are lighter, some are darker, but you know, the browner you get, the least brown bit, the more flavorful your dish is going to be. And so in this process, I also added some garlic and ginger paste. You could add fresh garlic and ginger. I did about 1.5 teaspoons of the garlic paste and about 1/2 teaspoon of the ginger paste. Do the equivalents, adding, so the masala does have ginger and it has garlic powder in it, which you need to kind of balance out all the spices. But adding these into your onion base or your tomato base or whatever your base is, really gives it another layer of like freshness with a little bit of heat, like kind of natural heat, like almost herbaceous heat, I would say. So that's what's been done here, just to save you time. So I'm going to turn the heat back on, and there we go. Remember, we cook on medium-high heat for pretty much most of the time, especially when we're making our masala base. So we have our onion, and all I'm really going to do here is another cheat. You know, instead of like the fresh garlic, fresh ginger, which, you know, can go bad, I always have garlic paste, ginger paste, or a combination of garlic ginger paste. And my new favorite, I am telling you, I'm using it more and more because you can get very high quality tomato puree instead of using fresh tomatoes, especially when it's not tomato season. This is so flavorful. This is, we don't get paid for anything, just so you know. But this
you guys
really,
can send us, Muti, if you
right,
like.
this is our go-to brand for anything tomato. Tomato paste for the tandoori chicken, tomato puree as we're adding into the curries now. So I'm really kind of trying to always have stocked my basics to make any dish. So like you can have a couple of cans of chickpeas, you can have some garlic paste, some ginger paste, some tomato puree, all of which, you know, and of course our masalas, none of which needs to be refrigerated. And so when you're like in the mood and it's a particularly cold day, it's 11 degrees here today, it's so easy to whip up. So not only is it fast, you just don't have to, you literally can avoid going to the grocery store. So I am now already browned the onion here. I'm going to, if you can maybe go overhead, I'm going to add the tomato puree. This is about 3/4 cup. You can add, you know, a little more tomato if you like it more tomatoey, a little less if you don't. You really just need to make sure you have enough in there to really kind of create a paste. Now with tomato, any tomato, and in general when you're making your paste, you want to cook every kind of base ingredient. We cook the onion. Now we're going to cook this tomato up a little bit. There's so much umami in these like high quality like Italian tomato products. And the way you know it's done, you're kind of on medium-high heat in a couple of minutes, and this won't take long. The oil is going to start to separate out a little bit, and you're kind of like frying it, like pan frying your tomato to cook it up a little bit. And as that starts to happen, then we're going to add our spices in, our Aloo Rasedar packet. Cook that up for about 10 or 15 seconds. And then layer in I'm using canned chickpeas again. I just want it quick and easy and delicious. I want to do like a lot of other things today. But if you're thinking ahead and planning ahead, absolutely you can use, you know, fresh chickpeas, soak them overnight. They really take a long time to soften. If you're really going to do it, I highly recommend maybe using the Instant Pot or being like super patient to soften them up. So there's a whole other step where you got to like get those chickpea soft. Does add that like extra layer of flavor, so I am not against it. But what I find for me is I say I'm gonna do it and then I don't do it and then I like never eat the dish. And I wanna eat the dish, so I'm using canned. All right, so you can see just in that little time we've been chit-chatting, and of course, as a reminder, always have my little bit of water on the side, just to keep the pan from burning. The oil is starting to separate. JD, I want to show them a little bit how it's bubbling, and the tomato's darker, and the oil's starting to come out a bit. Add a little bit of water so my pan does not burn. Oh, and the other thing in general, I love to tell people, use a wide based pot or pan or whatever you're using. And you can use a, it doesn't have to be a full pot, just slightly rimmed is fine, you know, a little bit more than a frying pan. But I highly recommend it because when you're browning the onion, I know like some people are like, oh, it's taking forever. The wider based your pan is, the more like single layered your onions are, the quicker they cook really fast if you can get them in like one layer. And for this, we use 3 cups of onions. Because so a dal is sort of a much more accessible flavor. A lot of dals can almost be eaten as soup. Chole, chana masala traditionally has more curry, has more thickness, and that comes from using like a lot of onion. And if you were being like going the extra mile, after we had browned those onions that you saw, we'd actually put them in the grinder and really make them into a paste and then fry that paste up with the tomato like we're doing now. So I'm skipping steps. They're not make or break steps for the dish, but just so you know what's going on there. All right. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm going to now take this aromatic. There's, I think people are like, oh, it weighs about 10 grams. There's literally like, I think 13 different spices in here. I have to actually count, but there's so many layers of wonderful flavor, and there's whole spices. I'm going to pour it out and you can see that. And by the way, if you haven't tried our potato curry, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Okay. So there's clove and black cardamom, which probably all got covered up with the tomato now, so it might be hard to see. I'll try to pull it out. Here's the whole black cardamom. There's like whole cloves, as you can see a little bit of that. You don't need much to create a lot of flavor here. You're not here, you can't smell it, but it really does smell good. I don't want my spices to burn. I don't want to add too much water. I'm not trying to like boil my spices, just enough so my pan doesn't burn, and then I can open them up a bit, keep them aromatic, flavorful. You're bringing out the flavor by cooking them a little bit. Medium-high heat this whole time. Your pastes are always really done on for the most part, medium-high heat. And a result, again, we're always so redundant if you join us frequently, but a high heat neutral oil of some kind. This happens to be safflower. Grapeseed oil is fine. We tend to use organic sunflower oil a lot. And just not olive oil, just gonna burn, and that burnt flavor is, not to mention that it's not great for you, but that burnt flavor of the oil is what you're gonna taste. So there, that's nice and mixed in. Now, I'm gonna take our chickpeas. This is 2 cans, 2 15-ounce cans of chickpeas.
Trader Joe's chickpeas.
Yeah, this is Trader Joe's chickpeas. Not that it matters. Any chickpeas is fine. In here. It smells really great, and you can smell the complexity. If you've been cooking with our food, you really do smell the differences, like the Rogan Josh masala, for example, compared to our vegetable masalas for the vegetables, compared to this, which is like something in between. It has a lot of complexity, perhaps not as much intensity as if you were making a meat dish. And we're going to do other versions of this because it's so easy. We can do a potato chickpea version, so I would use maybe a pound of potatoes and 1 can of chickpeas and do it the exact same way as the way the potato recipe says, because you got to kind of brown those potatoes a little bit. So this is actually easy because there's no browning, there's no pre-anything. It's really awesome. And it's so healthy, and to have it like a really satisfying curry that's actually healthy and vegan on a cold winter day is like just awesome, I think. And we are sitting here trying to eat healthy, and I'll be honest, JD's doing a little bit better job than I am. He's really pretty vegan and no flour this week and all of that. And he's going to really be able to enjoy this dish, which is so nice because it's something we can all eat. Okay. So now that, because the chickpea are cooked, you don't have to like overcook it here. You're really just getting it blend in, letting it open up with the spices a little bit. I feel like my pan is burning a bit. I'm going to turn it around. So getting more heat on that side. And now, what I'm going to do is add some water. I like to use, like, if I use this cup with tomato in it, I go ahead and use that again, just why not? Indian cooking does not waste. So you're going to probably do, so now because the chickpeas are cooked, you don't have to worry about getting them soft or anything like that. So I'm going to just cover them. Really, what you're trying to do now in this step, we're going to bring this to a boil. And if you could show them, I put just enough water to kind of cover the chickpeas, because what I want in this process is simply for all those beautiful flavors and spices to penetrate into what is already pretty soft chickpeas and get a little bit softer. They are a little, like, they're clearly edible like this, but a little bit crunchier than what you want in a curry. You don't want them mushy, but you do want them softer. So I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for probably about 15 minutes, checking to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom pan or burning. And we'll be right back. We're gonna do that and then maybe layer in the spinach, layer in a little bit of yogurt to make it creamier, all of which are optional. You could stop here after you do your 15-minute boil and enjoy. Bye. Hello everybody. It's been a little bit longer than 15 minutes. I would say maybe closer to 20 minutes, maybe even 25, because I tried it at 15 minutes and I didn't feel like all that wonderful flavor had absorbed through into the chickpeas. So I did a few more minutes, big difference. And here you have it, a beautifully textured, delicious chickpea curry. Now, this is really yummy. And you could just stop right here and eat it. You could serve this with rice. You could honestly even eat it on its own. You could cook it down a little bit more, make it a little bit drier, and put it in like a taco, or even as like a topping on top of whatever you're doing with your taco. Just very versatile, just delicious. It's flavorful, and it really can go all directions. So what I'm going to do today, you know, we garnish our food. We love cilantro, mint, but I'm going to use actually spinach as my garnish at the end. And what I want to do, because I love yogurt and I love that little bit of creaminess that comes out of a nice full fat Greek yogurt, adding also a little protein, but don't have to do this. It is a perfectly fine to keep it vegan like this, or a little bit of coconut milk.
Could we take a little bit out before we go all coconut, vegan, non-vegan?
Okay, JD does not want the yogurt, so I'm not going to do that right this second.
Eat it.
I'm going to put aside a little bit. He's going to eat most of it, so I won't do it.
But no, do the story. But just take a little bit out so I can have it.
Well, you can eat most of this. I don't want to. Oh, you know, it doesn't matter. So you can add the like a third a cup of yogurt for.
So people can see. Just give me a scoop.
Oh, you killed my video. It's not yogurt. It just adds a little texture. He's gonna be like, oh, I don't like yogurt, but half the time I put yogurt in. He doesn't even know there's yogurt in it. So
the truth is coming.
The only reason I say it's optional, because I know obviously if you're vegan, you're not gonna put yogurt. If you do coconut milk, don't put like the whole can. You're not really, this is very different, because what will happen is we'll dilute all the flavor. Just put enough to get a little texture. This is a third of a cup. It really is transformative. You know, coconut milk, full fat yogurt. There's like a lot of fat in it. So a small amount goes a long way in terms of flavor, but without diluting what you've kind of created here. You might need to salt it a little bit more after you do that. Always taste it at the end. And I'm going to try it. Oh, you know what?
How much salt did you put in between? Sorry,
I missed putting in the salt live on video, but it's about a teaspoon of salt.
Teaspoon. Yeah,
a teaspoon for it's 2 cans of chickpea. Okay. A nice squirt of like lemon. You know, Chana Masala. There's like a lot of variations all throughout India actually, and I kind of like love the Punjabi style. It's called chole, which I kind of pseudo replicated here. But there's a tang to it. So, you know, there's like a richness from the tomato and make like in here a little bit of yogurt, a little tang from like a mango powder, but you can easily just use lemon. And actually a traditional Punjabi style chili will use like a form of like a dried pomegranate seed to create that tang. So a lot of ways to do it. That might not be the easiest thing to find, so I'm going with lemon. And that's it. And now...
Dry pomegranate, you said?
Yeah, it's like a spice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right, let me give it a try.
We should get some of that.
Yeah, we can. And amchur powder is pretty easy to get, which is dried mango powder, which will also give it tang. I have to say, I tried it before and after the yogurt. For me, the yogurt elevates the flavor. I don't know why. It kind of like holds all the spices together or something. And even though JD thinks he hates yogurt, I'm going to have him try it.
Okay, let me see. It's actually really good.
Yeah, see? So that's it, you guys. This is my Chana Masala, Moji's Chana Masala really, made with our Aloo Rasedar Masala, aka potato curry, which is pretty soon going to be changed into potato / chickpea masala.
Don't do that to my potato. Okay, bye everybody.